exercise, motivation, weight loss, nutrition, stress, sleep. You want to be healthy, but balancing all these things with life can be challenging. Today we are joined with 3 health experts from Medi-Share. We will discuss practical yet simple things you can do to get the health results you desire. We would love to hear from you throughout this broadcast, so please feel free to ask a question or leave a comment in the chat. Welcome and thank you for joining us. My name is Debbie Ryan. I am proud to serve as Medi-Share's Public Relations Specialist. Medi-Share is the most trusted name in healthcare sharing. We facilitate healthcare cost sharing for 400,000 members nationwide. We are proud of the personal and professional service our health coaches give every day to our members. Today, I have the privilege of introducing you to 3 of Medi-Share's health coaches. Joining me today in person is Nikki Lansing. She has a Bachelor's of Science in Dietetics and Nutrition. On the screen, we have Megan Moore and Lisa Lyson. Megan is a registered dietitian, and Lisa is an ACSM certified personal trainer and certified running coach. Thank you all for being here. We all want to be healthy. And there certainly is a lot of opinions and theories on what one needs to do to achieve health. Honestly, it can be overwhelming. Today, we will cut through the fat and hear from qualified health experts who will give us practical yet simple tips to achieve our health goals. All right, ladies, welcome. Let's start at the beginning. What do you do to help someone find the motivation to even get started? Nikki, why don't we go ahead and start with you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I always recommend to our members, if you're contemplating, should I start, what should I do? The first thing to do is always ask yourself, why? Why is this important to me? And why should I begin now to prioritize my health? And so with coaching here, we do a worksheet called the 3-month vision. And the 3-month vision has 5 different topics: faith, fitness, family, finances, and there's another F.
Lifeline?
I know it. Food. I skipped one. And so we always encourage our members, ask yourself the question, where would you like to be ideally in the next 3 months in all of these different areas? Pray about it, write it out, and really paint the picture. And that's going to create the why and the motivation behind why you're doing it.
That's awesome. Now, I heard you say 3 months. So I'm really good at that initial motivation, but what do you do to help keep someone motivated long term?
Absolutely. So it's always important to revisit your 3-month vision at least every 3 months or more, depending on, how often you want to check in. And then you ask yourself, is this still aligning to where I want to be, or did things change a little bit? And if it changed, that's okay. It's your vision. Go ahead and edit that and revise it and keep moving forward.
Good. Well, I'd love to hear from you there too. Let's jump into goals a little bit. So, okay, we're motivated. Now, what do you guys do to help someone set an individual goal that's really going to work for them?
Looking at those things that are most valuable to them helps them understand, okay, what if I value, say, my family, time with my family, how does your health play into that? How do things that you are pressing toward, are they going to assist you in having more time with your family or having the health to be able to do things with your family? So I like to start with those things that people value, and then both find motivation and set goals based on those values.
I love that you share that about what you value, because to me that ties back into your why and the goal. Yeah. So it helps to reinforce all of that. That's excellent. So how do you know when it's time to reevaluate a goal?
I think in part, it's just a matter of seeing your success in moving forward. If you're halted, looking at the reasons why, of course, is important. But maybe the reason why is because you're not motivated in that area for varied reasons. But just really assessing those things, and as Nikki has pointed out, making those assessments every few months or more often helps you understand, okay, am I moving forward? If I'm not, why am I not? Is it because I'm not motivated? And then coming back to those values or adjusting the goal accordingly.
Megan, is there anything that you'd like to share, particularly to motivation or to goals, that you find particularly useful when you're talking with folks?
I usually tell people, once you kind of have your vision of where you want to go, be sure and break that down into small little steps. small little chunks and make a roadmap. How am I going to get from A to Z? Really map it out, write it down, and then look for some people that can help encourage you. Try to get the whole family on board. Maybe you need a workout buddy. Maybe you need to schedule an appointment with a health coach. But get someone who can help hold you accountable and just encourage you.
That's great. And you know quite a bit about goals. It's no secret that the number one goal out there is related to weight loss. But I'd like to mix things up just a little bit. And before we talk about diet or exercise, I want to hear, are there other factors that can affect your weight? Lisa, can I bring that question to you?
You bet. I think one of the biggest things that can really affect weight is that stress piece. If we think about what happens within our body, especially during an acutely stressful situation, we get in that fight or flight mode, adrenaline is released, our blood pressure rises, our blood sugars rise, a lot of energy is spent, and then the body produces cortisol to kind of replenish those losses. We begin to crave sugar, the metabolism is suppressed so we can absorb that sugar. And then we're in this constant state. If we are in a constant state of stress, we find ourselves regularly in this mode of craving sugar, having a lower metabolism, and it can be a real trigger to weight gain and produce an unhealthy cycle.
Well, you folks are working with individuals every day, and over the last year and a half or so, stress has been increased. Have you found that to be the case in your calls with individuals, that stress is playing a bigger factor?
Absolutely, and I think this year more than ever, everyone's starting to realize that fitness is not just nutrition and exercise. Health doesn't stop there. There's a multitude of other buckets that health encompasses, and so we have, of course, nutrition and exercise, but sleep, stress management, life balance, all of these other factors come into play, and this has been a big year focusing on the other areas as well.
So I heard you say sleep as well, so we've got stress and sleep. Is there anything else that you would say is a big factor other than diet and nutrition in trying to control weight?
If we could zero in on sleep just for a second, that is a big one, and I think a lot of people underestimate. I think a lot of people try to extend their day by getting less sleep, get more done. They don't spend as many hours in bed, so they minimize that sleep. And what people don't understand always is that getting 6 hours of sleep or less can diminish brain function. It can put your body in that same stressful mode that we just talked about. And then the body responds in that same way. Cortisol levels increase, appetite increases, metabolism decreases, and it can be a real trigger, again, for not only weight gain, but other health issues, including really the propensity toward type 2 diabetes. So sleep is a huge one. And I would encourage anyone, if you're suspecting sleep apnea as part of your sleep loss, to definitely talk to a doctor about getting a sleep test done. But really just working on setting a schedule and getting more sleep can be a great stride in the right direction as far as diminishing stress and, of course, ultimately being healthier.
Excellent. So I'm hearing stress, hearing sleep, I'm even hearing a little time management in there. And that's not even our big two. However, we can't talk about weight gain without also addressing the two big factors, and that is nutrition and exercise. And we just happen to have a registered dietitian here, so I would love to hear a little bit more from you, Megan, when it does come to nutrition. Would you say that there is one best way to address nutrition if your goal is weight loss?
Well, you wouldn't know it by the media, or if you walk down the diet aisles and look at all the latest books and all the ads that are out there. Really, the nutrition research is very unified and very consistent. That you have to minimize the processed food. You've got to focus on the whole food, and you've got to increase the fresh vegetables, fruits, beans, nuts, seeds. So we talk a lot with our members about whole food, plant-based eating. And that's really where the evidence is showing is the best nutrition philosophy, the nutrition plan, is to just really focus on whole foods and higher fiber, lower saturated fat, and more plant foods. So, you kind of go back to the basics of the way God made it, fresh,
Yes.
whole, that's where you want to be.
Excellent. I love that. Now, Nikki, I would love to give you an opportunity to speak into this as well, because I know you're also an expert in nutrition. Is there anything else that you would add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I could talk about this for hours, but I think a really important question to ask yourself is this realistic long term? Because a lot of these fad or new age diets out there, sure, they may be great, but we're coming around the holidays and life just gets crazy sometimes. And so is it realistic to stick with that for a long duration? And oftentimes the answer is no. And so with the whole food plant-based approach, there's a ton of options. There's really not a lot that's limited, and you're going to get a lot of benefits. Like you're going to be higher energy, you're gonna just feel better and lighter. So that's really what I would suggest, asking yourself, is this realistic long-term?
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. So we also have an exercise specialist here. So I would like to go ahead and ask the same question, but about exercise routines. So Lisa, if someone's goal is weight loss, would you say that there is a best type of exercise that one should be doing?
Well, that's going to vary for people, depending really on where their starting point is. But most definitely, the most important thing is just to move. Setting some basic goals, initially, if they haven't been walking at all, just walking is a simple thing that most of us can do. Obviously, if there's any kind of extraneous health issue that needs to be gone over with a doctor before you start an exercise program, that's important. But in a general healthy state, with limbs, just walking, just beginning to move, and every muscle we move is expending energy. So just beginning with something simple and basic, and maybe it's 10-15 minutes just getting out the door. A lot of people find that their schedule is so packed they don't think they can fit in exercise. I strongly recommend, if you think your schedule is too jam-packed, to fit in those most essential, valuable things like exercise, sleep, meal planning, those kinds of things. Sit down, write out your schedule. Put those most essential, non-negotiable things that you have to do every day, and then order those next most valuable things, like exercise, meal planning, etc. I know we're talking exercise, so I'll come back to that. Lunch hours are a great time to institute some exercise, or maybe early in the morning is a better time for you. But a lot of people think, boy, I have to have a gym membership and all this equipment. Not so. Just getting out the door and taking a brisk walk is a really great place to start.
Right. So whole foods and a walk. We can all do that, right? I love that. You just take the pressure off and you just start and you just do. And great advice from all of you. I'd love to really quickly just share a little personal story and follow that up with a question for all of you. So in my past, I was a fitness competitor, and a lot of great things came out of that. But when it came to nutrition and controlling that weight, I got very extreme with it. To the point where at one point, I remember I was on the phone with someone and I had to give my address. I couldn't think what my address was. I was actually dieting to the point where my brain wasn't even functioning. And so when it comes to weight and health, they're not always the same thing. And so I would love to just address that and take a little bit further and really talk about how you can address weight and increase health at the same time. Megan, is that something you'd like to start us off with?
Sure. I think that's a great point you make, Debbie, is there is multiple ways to lose weight, and there's healthy ways and unhealthy ways. And in the grand scheme, we really need to be nourishing our bodies with things that are going to make it healthy in the long term. What's going to prevent heart disease? What's going to help prevent cancer? What's going to help prevent diabetes, bone loss as you get older? What are these foods that actually are functional in our body for health? And the thing is, when you're eating that way, weight loss is just like this welcome side effect that happens. Your body will begin, your weight management will begin to happen just really as a side effect of eating healthy and really looking at your diet and your exercise and your sleep, all of these things we've talked about with the mindset of I need to have bodily stewardship. I need to take care of myself so that 10 years from now, I feel good. I can move. I can keep doing all of the wonderful things that God has me to do. And if you have that long-term perspective, that's going to be the best way to eat, just like Nikki said, with that long-term perspective in mind.
Thank you for addressing that. So I would love to hear from each of you why you think being a health coach for Medi-Share is different. What makes it different, your approach and how you coach individuals? Nikki, would you like to start?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what sticks out here at Medi-Share is that not only do we get to talk about your health, which is a very personable subject, but we get to add the Lord into it. And that is, chances are, the missing puzzle piece. And so here we get to not only talk about nutrition and exercise and life balance, but we get to talk about your spiritual walk and how we can morph the two of those together. And I think that really stands us out.
Excellent.
I love looking at the spiritual as the foundation of the house. As Nikki said, it's why we do what we do. Our bodies have been given us as stewards of our bodies, and our desire really is to help people understand how to build the best house on the best foundation, which is our bodies are His temple. And so having that as the foundation makes that firm foundation, allows us to build well those other components of the house, so to speak, which we've even talked about today, and know that we're doing it for the right reason. And often that is what I direct members back to, is that is the why, ultimately, for the glory of our Lord. And so it's a privilege to work in a place where we can talk in those terms and know that they are effective in helping people move forward with their health.
So I would love to hear if any of you have a personal story of coaching that has really kind of impacted you and just helped make you proud of the work that you do because you've seen the impact that it's had on others. Did you want to share a story?
Sure, absolutely. I have a lot, but there is one that has stuck with my heart and stayed with me. And we were creating a 3-month vision together, and it was assigned as a homework assignment, and she brought it to our next coaching call, and we were going over each topic. And on the bottom, she wrote, "I'm going to jump off the diving board." And I said, "Can you tell me a little bit more about that? What does that mean? Let's unpack that." And she said, "I am very family focused, and my family likes to get together with the grandkids, and we really enjoy to go swimming. But I find myself, I sit on the sidelines. I watch from the outside, and I sit on the chair and I watch them make the memories, and I'm not really included in it." And she said, "In my 3-month vision, I'm jumping off the diving board. I'm doing it. I'm enjoying this time with my family." And that really stuck with me. And then months down the road, she sent me a picture jumping off the diving board. Yay. And so you just never know what the Lord's going to put on your heart as you're filling out your why and where your motivation comes from. And that's really that personalized approach that we do here. Yeah. And it makes every 3-month vision very special.
That's excellent. Thank you. All right, I have one more question for each of you. I'd like each of you to answer this one. If you had just one little nugget or piece of information that you would like those watching to be able to take away with them today, what would it be? Megan, can I start with you?
Sure. To narrow it down to just one.
I know.
Maybe the biggest tip I usually give people is to write down, keep a food log, keep an exercise log, keep a sleep log, keep a stress log, things that are bothering you, what you're eating, something about getting that down on paper and being able to reflect on it and really see patterns and see, where you can make changes. It's an accountability piece, but it also just really helps you to organize your thoughts and see where you want to make changes. And even at the beginning, we were talking about stress. I've just found, when you're feeling really anxious, feeling really stressed, if you can write down the things that are really bothering you and then just give them to the Lord, stop right there and pray about it. It just takes that load off, you know. And so I think keeping a journal would probably be my best tip.
That's great. And Lisa?
Boy, I would say just remembering that baby steps are steps. You know, we don't ever expect a little one to hop up off the floor from crawling and run across the room. Movement starts with those baby steps, and that's forward motion, forward progress. Don't ever be ashamed of steps you've taken forward and think you should have done more. Just the smallest bit of forward motion is still forward motion, and really is oftentimes the most maintainable, especially at the start. So don't set those expectations too high when you're beginning the health journey. Just keep moving forward one step at a time.
So inspirational. Thank you.
That was so good.
And Nikki?
I think it may sound simple, but pairing your health journey with your spiritual walk, and just praying about your health goals and morphing those together and watching God really work in that area.
Thank you, ladies. Those are really great. You know, I have the privilege of working with really the whole health and wellness team on a regular basis. They truly do care about the work that they do. They are sincere when they talk to different members on the phone and come in with that enthusiasm that you see every day. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for watching.